Hi everyone, my name is Mary Rains and this is going to be my personal introduction video. Couple things about me. First thing is that I was born and raised actually in Michigan. And so I went to Central Michigan University where I double majored in history and English with a secondary education focus. After college, I actually got offered a job in Great Bend, Kansas. That's what brought me to Kansas. And so I actually worked there at the high school for 2 years, and I taught ninth, 11th, and 12th grade English during that time. I am still in Kansas because I actually met my husband. And so we were married in 2017 and moved to Hutchinson, Kansas. So I have actually worked in Hutch for 4 years now at the same building. I work at HMS 7 or Hutchinson Middle School 7, which is basically our 7th grade building for the district. My current extracurriculars, so the roles that I play now, is an OCR club sponsor, so like obstacle course racing. I also am the Stuco sponsor and the president of social committee, as well as the HNEA building representative. Some of my hobbies include running, cooking, reading, and writing, which probably seems pretty obvious because I'm an English teacher. And then I also included on there family and friends, even though that's not really a hobby. But I do like to spend a lot of my free time with my family and friends, the people that I love and care about the most. A little bit about Hutch and also HMS 7, just giving you guys a little bit of a background on that and some of their demographics. Hutch has a population of about 40,383 that was taken or during the census of 2019. Also listed there is kind of our breakdown of that population as far as race goes, so you guys can look at that. I also wanted to include, because I thought these statistics were very important as well, that only 21.1% of our residents actually go on to pursue a degree after high school, and then also 14.4% of the population live in poverty. Just looking specifically at HMS 7, our population fluctuates a little bit, but it generally stays within 340 to 375, and that's just 7th graders for our building. The demographics very similar to those of Hutch, so I didn't list them there. And then also, because I'm an English teacher, I thought it was important to note some of our reading scores in the district, which I think are pretty telling. But there are 29% of our kids that actually are tiered 1, so that's awesome. There's 19% of our tier 2 kids that are 19% of our kids that are tier 2, which means they need a little bit of intervention and they're probably about a year behind grade level. And then there's 52% of our population at HMS 7, which is actually 2 or more grade levels behind. So there's a huge huge tier 3 group for our school. One of the reasons, or something else that I wanted to include, but also one of the reasons why I really like working at HMS 7 and also why I chose this position specifically is because we have pod and teams at HMS 7 and departments. And so we actually get 2 plan periods every day to be able to meet with those teams and departments. And so every day I get to work with my department and go over what kids are doing, what we need to tweak, that kind of thing. And then also for pods and teams, I get to meet with them as much as I can, or as much as we need to talk about kids and how they're doing in our classes. And I really like how HMS 7 has set that up. What is the biggest challenge during the pandemic or working during the pandemic? The biggest challenge actually kind of ties into what I learned this year, I guess. It also was really hard for me to pick just one, and I'm sure most of you guys felt that way too, that there's a lot of little challenges. But I try to do my best to narrow it down a little bit. So the biggest challenge that I found would just be navigating multiple outlets, having kids online, having kids in person, having kids that are completely remote or have to go into quarantine so I don't see them for a couple of weeks. Just managing all of those little outlets or all of those different platforms has been really difficult, but I think I'm getting the hang of it now. Also, I think the reason why this is so challenging for me is that I want to make sure that all kids are being taken care of. And it's hard to do when sometimes I don't see kids for like a month at a time, or I don't see them like every day. And so it's just been really hard in that regards. Um, One of the things I've really learned about myself this year, which I think has been a great thing, is that before this point, I don't think I was taking care of myself as much as I needed to. And so this year actually allowed me to step back with a lot of stuff and really evaluate like what makes me happy, what's going to be healthy, um, what's going to be a healthy mindset or going to put me in a healthy mindset so that um, I can take care of myself and I can also take care of others as well. So that's kind of what I've learned about myself this year as well. Okay, for the next section, we had to list out like the mindsets, principles, dispositions, um, practices. So I'm just going to go through really quickly with what those are, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about if I agree with them or disagree with them. So the first one was mindsets. The three mindsets that the article talked about were that all students can learn, teacher collaboration over isolation, and then happiness and optimism. Dispositions, the 5 dispositions, confidence. 2 would be risk taker and decisive. 3 is sense of humor. 4 is empathetically assertive. And 5 is learner. Practices: 1, focus and prioritizing. 2, examining feedback and data. And then 3 is emotional intelligence. Here are the 8 principles that the other article talked about. Personal courage, public interest ahead of self, self-control, self-discipline, and integrity. Number 4 is task and employee centeredness. 5, recognizing talent. 6, requiring high ethics from everyone. 7, sensitivity and understanding. 8, inclusiveness. Okay, so now that I went through that, I guess I will tell you guys if I agree or disagree with them. For mindset, I completely agree. I think that all kids can learn. I think that what makes the staff that I'm a part of successful has to do with a lot of what we collaborate on. And also mindset of being happy and being optimistic is also really important. For dispositions, I think that there are different types of leaders. So this was really challenging for me to kind of like analyze all of the things that they were saying were dispositions, because I just look around at all of my all of the staff members that I've gotten the opportunity to work with, and I think in every single one of them I can see a leader, but I think they do it in different ways. So I do agree with what they said in the article, but I also think that there are probably some things that necessarily are outside of the box, or some people that don't fit into that same box that I would definitely consider a leader. Practices, I agree, but I thought they were very general, so I kind of wanted to have some more specifics on it and maybe get some like habits and practices that I could use on it. And then for principles, I agree with this completely as well. This is my personal reflection on mindsets and dispositions. So for mindset, I basically said that I believe In the three mindsets, which I already told you guys about, I think that in my own personal reflection, it was really good to read through and just kind of be reminded of them, because I think, especially in today's climate and just everything that's going on and that we're having to deal with, I would say that I'm a pretty happy and optimistic person, but I definitely think that that is something that I've really struggled with this year. Um, and I think that's because, going back to just making sure that all kids are taken care of, I really want to make sure that my students are being taken care of and that they're getting what they need and that I'm actually making a difference. For dispositions, as I already said, I think there are different types of leaders. Um, in order to grow in the dispositions outlined in this article, when I was reflecting, I think a lot of people that know me would agree on this, but I would need to be more of a decisive person, which I know for myself, it's hard for me to make really concrete decisions. But if that is a disposition of a leader, then that is something that I can definitely work on. My personal reflection on practices and principles. Practices, my department does a really good job of examining feedback and data with our students. I love that we get together and we get to discuss actually how students are doing on our knowledge checks, our tests, how they're progressing, and then we go from there based off of the data that we're getting. Allowing us to change or tweak content as we go, which is my favorite part of it. We also have goals to help us maintain focus throughout the year. This also allows us to prioritize, so I really like that our administrators actually make us do this all the time, which seems redundant, but it also, I think it really helps me focus focus what I'm doing with my kids and what I am hoping to accomplish in my classroom. I believe that I am an emotionally intelligent person. When I was reflecting on this, I've always been able to put myself in other people's shoes, but I also know that it is hard for me to necessarily put myself in someone's shoes if I don't even have any background in what they're going through. And so I do know that um, that's something that I can definitely work on, is seeing things from their perspective when I don't have a basis for that perspective. Principles, I believe that I exhibit all these principles. However, I do not think that I exhibit all of them or exhibit them all at the same time. And I need to be more purposeful in acting as an ethical leader in that way, just being very consistent with exhibiting those principles. How does all of this support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult? It's kind of simple, I think, or I tried to make it simple. If leaders of the school, principals, and teachers align with the mindsets, dispositions, practices, and principles, then students and adults will have what they need to be successful. So basically, if we do all of that stuff, it trickles down. The leaders, um, also get what they need, like the principals and teachers, but the students get what they need as well. Okay, my section for standard correlation. So this is how it correlates to the standard. This assignment demonstrated correlation to the standard selected for this assignment by asking us to reflect on and communicate about professional dispositions and norms. Relevance. This assignment was relevant to my current learning and helped improve my understanding of principle, dispositions, mindsets, and practices. By learning about these ideas, it has helped me reflect on my own teaching or learning styles. This assignment will influence the decisions that I make as a future school leader by having provided some valuable tools to use in my future endeavors. And here is my reference page. Thank you so much, guys, for letting me share this with you, and I can't wait to see all of your videos as well.